Hey, what's up, guys? We have another video. It's being fat a choice by Jubilee. It's a very interesting topic. Now, the topic of obesity is like considered controversial at this point, but yeah, there's a very long video here, 36 minutes by Jubilee. I think I'll just do half of it, then have it another time. And yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy this reaction. If you're new, come subscribe to my channel. My name is Barak, and welcome back to the video. And let's jump in the reaction.
I'm sorry, there's a big
yeah.
difference between the people who are telling people go out and get fat versus a Lizzo who's saying accept me the way I am.
She's not just saying accept me the way I am. She's dressing extremely scantily clad and then saying if you don't think that it's normal for a morbidly obese person to be wearing a G-string in the middle of public, then you're the problem.
I think the topic of Lizzo is a little bit different because Lizzo is a celebrity, so there's a way celebrity handle themselves considered compared to a normal person, a normal obesity person. So yeah, for Lizzo, she has to sell, she has to create this controversial situation for her for them to pop or to sell songs, to sell albums. So it's a little bit different. I can understand what Lizzo doing extreme, so because she's a celebrity.
Being fat or skinny is a choice. Agreeers?
My opinion, being skinny, I don't think being skinny is a choice. Or I mean, I'm skinny. I don't need choose to be skinny. I've tried to eat what I can to get health, to get big, but probably it's the choice of what I eat. I'm not good, but again, there's people who get I don't know what to say. I think when you're growing fat, at some point you can realize that hey, maybe it's too much. Maybe I'm doing too much, and you can turn it down. But I think if you're skinny, there's not really much you can do. You can eat and get healthy, but also I think it's no. Let me just let me listen to your opinions.
Of course, not every factor is purely choice. I don't think that every factor is, but I do think a majority of it is. And in most cases, for most people, being skinny or being fat is about willpower. It's about the environment you grow up in, sure, but who you choose to associate with, what sort of things you choose to listen to, who you choose to kind of have as your friends around you and support you. All of those things are choices that you can make that will lead you closer towards being one or the other.
I know what I do with my body. I know what I put into it day in and day out. I choose not to eat some days. I choose, how I want to look, and I don't fault anyone for how they want to look or how they want to be, but I think it's a choice at the end of the day. I'm very, always wish-washy on how I want to be presented and if I want to gain weight or not, but the only person that's going to gain the weight at the end of the day is me and me myself.
For me, it's calories in, calories out. Go to the gym, you'll get buff. Don't go to the gym, you won't get buff. I understand that there's genetics that could cause you to want to eat more, but even with the genetics that cause you to want to eat more, the same solution is calories in, calories out.
I think the whole choice is, always determined on who they are, and it's not going to just be a thing done overnight.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of, I think it's like breaking the barrier. And
Sometimes I wonder sometimes I look at these athletes, for example. Somebody loses weight for a short period of time, and then they just gain weight a lot. In a month, they're already big. Sometimes I wonder how do they get at that level? Because I've tried to eat, I've tried to do everything I can to gain weight, but maybe, like I said earlier, the type of food I'm eating not working out. But like the guy said, I think at the end of the day, it's a choice. If you want to remain skinny, you can remain skinny. If you want to be fat, you can get fat. If you want to remain fat, you can still remain fat. I think it's at the end of the day, you're the one who has to take action. If you say, oh, this is me and I can't do anything about it, then you're going to be you. If you say, I want to do something about this, then you'll have to do something about it. My problem is when people now accept who they are, but then they kind of like try to stop blaming themselves and blame it to others and say, oh, it's who I am. Stop saying about this about me. That's where my problem comes.
breaking a lot of things, not only your body, but also breaking your mental state.
Sure.
And again, that depends on who you are and what you want to go through.
Disagreeers?
I think it's a choice. Let me see what they're going to say, but I think it's a choice.
I felt like as a toddler, I always viewed myself as big. I grew up in a very poor home, so where my mom couldn't provide the meals that she could healthily. So when we would get free meals, even then it would be canned food, and it would be very much food that's not as edible. It was food for us, yes, but then I felt like once it reached a point where I was old enough to try to make my own choices, I made all of the wrong choices. I wasn't eating, and I was only eating grapes and lettuce, and that was mainly because I was in a sport, and that sport just worked me out so hard. And it was to the point where I just was scared to eat. I didn't like it. I would only drink water.
When you were eating grapes and lettuce, were you thin?
I was the thinnest I could be.
Were you still big though?
I was still big, but that was the skinniest I've ever been. And that's coming from somebody who was only eating somewhat salads that are just fruit and lettuce and water and maybe ice right before a practice.
Do you think that right now you would not be capable of becoming a thin woman if
I
you wanted to?
possibly would be capable of becoming a thin woman, but since I was young, I was supposed to get blood tested probably when I was very, very young, and I never did. And they had mentioned that it could have been because of my weight and how that connects with my thyroid. I never made the connection, and I never had that leaning parent to be go and get checked out, go and do this, your weight is probably not your fault. It was always your weight is your fault, so that's your issue.
I mean, I also struggle with, thyroid and my own blood issues. I'm not quite sure, but I do see an endocrinologist and I go see a doctor. It's a choice to do the requisite steps. It's a choice to go grocery shopping instead of going to fast food when it's easy. It's a choice when you're grocery shopping to go to the outer aisles and not go into the bread section and not go into the junk food section. These are all choices.
As a disabled woman, I can't do a lot of the things that people say, calories in, calories out, oh, you gotta go work out and exert it. A lot of the things that are typical, oh, this is how you lose weight, put me in the hospital. I have to navigate weight differently. I have to look at it differently. My weight is the way it is because of medication, because doctors put me in this position, and I had to learn, okay, am I going to be so hateful of my own body that I am going to backlash and put myself through extreme gym nights, through keeping myself from eating things that I should be able to eat. You should be able to have a balance. You should be able to go into the junk food aisle like other skinny people do and still not have to worry about gaining 20 pounds.
But I don't think skinny people
Not
go
all
into
people.
this junk food aisle.
They
I think
certainly
Yes,
do.
they do.
I do understand the point of this disabled girl. She doesn't really, when disabled, when it comes to working out, do all these things, you kind of have a disadvantage because she's disabled. She can't go to the gym and do the same thing that normal people do. She can't I think you understand my point. But the other girl who is blaming her childhood. Okay, she was a child. She was fat when she was a child, but when you grow older, you are an adult now. You can make a choice. Like she said herself, she was asked, "Do you think you can't be skinny enough?" She said she can, but then she's trying to look for other reason to cover up the answer. I mean, she's still a choice. She can make that choice and try to be skinny if she wants. But again, she has a lot of reasons to show that she can't, but at the end of the day, it's a choice. She can if she wants.
A lot of junk food.
Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of junk
Yeah.
I mean, my DoorDash would tell you otherwise.
There's a thing called set points. There's a ton of research on it that your body likes to be at specific weights. It likes to be in a specific way. So if you are fighting yourself to lose weight by not eating, over exercising, and you are damn near killing yourself to be at a specific weight, your body's unhappy.
It's important to note that a choice can be harder for people to make due to conditions in their life.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's still a choice. I could say that I had food addiction. I looked to food when I was stressed and this and that and this. And so it's harder for me to choose it than for someone who has the perfect lifestyle, someone who has parents who are giving them this and that and this. But I definitely still acknowledge that it was my choice. At the end of the day, when I go there and I look and I see, should I order a second hamburger? I'm the one choosing whether or not I order that second hamburger. I'm the one making.
See, now this case is reasonable. I understand that a lot of things that it is his choice. I mean, it's big, but then he acknowledges that most of it is his fault.
Hey.
What is this ad now?
So you can get. Can the agreeers please step
What is the
forward?
question?
Would rather be skinny than fat.
I mean, I would.
Can the agreeers please step forward?
I would.
think there's a lot of different struggles when it comes to being a bit bigger. And I have a sister that is very, like, she's 400 pounds and she struggles a lot. She has lymphedema and to shower is really, really hard. So I do think for like an overall happy life and like zero struggle, I think I'd rather be skinny.
I think that it is common in society to want to be skinny. I think the average person typically wants to be skinny. I'm actually surprised that I didn't see more.
And to be skinny is a little bit extreme. People just want to have a normal weight. After the weight is not skinny or fat, just to have normal weight. So, but I think most people will choose to be normal. I'm not saying to be fat is not normal, to be skinny is not normal, but average, people will choose to be average. Because being too skinny is also not good. Also being too fat is also not good. So if you are in the middle, that's what people prefer.
People come forward on that question. People treat you better. It is what is considered the standard of beauty. Your life expectancy is longer. You tend to be healthier.
I'm also really tall. I'm 6'6", so I kind of wish I could just pick a single struggle, because finding the clothes and things like that when you're bigger both ways can make it really hard. So if I was skinnier, at least that's one less thing I have to worry about. But also,
imagine this guy being 6'6" and skinny. He'll probably be playing basketball or something like that.
2 kids and a wife, and I'm taking care of them. And as you pointed out, I definitely think that I'm at less health risks if I'm a skinnier person, if I'm a healthier person in that capacity. And I would much rather be that so that I could be around for my kids longer.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
I'm speaking as someone who actually was a former smaller person, and I had the most body insecurities when I was small. I was constantly living in fear of gaining weight and having people tell me, oh, don't gain weight, don't do this, make sure that your weight is the same. And once I finally gained weight, I realized that, first off, life wasn't over. I didn't feel any need to not engage in life the previous way that I had, and the attention that I got was different. But even as a smaller person, you get negative attention. And rather than trying to control my body to avoid that negative attention, I would prefer to address the situation as a society, make it more accessible for everybody to where we aren't feeling like I have to be a certain way that's normal in order to be treated like a human being and respected.
If I could counter, because I was a bit bigger when I was younger, and that's when I was the most insecure. I would look in the mirror. I did have family members that were skinny, but then I had a family member that was much bigger. And just the way that I perceived myself, I hated it, and I even became anorexic to like not be big.
I don't think skinny always equates to being healthy.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I am fairly skinny. I'm 6'5". I'm 140 pounds last time I checked, and I'm severely underweight. And I know about this on a day-to-day basis. That being said, I don't know where I'd want to lean at an appropriate weight level, but I think it's important to understand for some skinny people, we're not living a great life by any means. And sometimes I feel like that's always kind of lost in translation when they see someone who's really skinny.
I guess
So skinny guy, yes, I want to gain weight, but I don't want to be fat. That's my opinion. So I think there's the middle ground. You don't want to be skinny and you don't want to be fat, unless it's a profession like models. You have to be a certain weight or certain body condition. But in general, nobody wants to be too skinny or nobody wants to be too fat. You just have to be in the middle. But I think I understand both of them. I understand both points. But I think, personally, according to what I've realized, is that I think people who are obese have more insecurities than people who are too skinny. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I've had a girlfriend. No, we got it out.
Depends on what you mean when you think of the term skinny. Are you thinking of just like an average weight person, or are you thinking of how you are now?
I'm the average weight for like women in America.
Yeah,
So if we're talking about an average, like I'm gonna be the closest.
Yeah.
If your biggest priority is to be at a smaller body, you need to reassess your priorities.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Not focused on health.
Yeah.
And the
No. That's not, what are you talking about?
immediate tie between
Understand, she's the average weight of an American woman, but that is big. She's big.
skinniness and health, like you emphasized. There is such a gap between one, the research, because the research has a huge fat phobic bias in it, and there has been research that shows that they aren't, even especially during, let's say, COVID and the correlation between obesity. They rushed through those studies so fast because in society's mind, oh, of course a fat person is going to equal someone who's going to get sick faster, is going to get sick easier. It was an easy jump. So they didn't do all of the testing that they were supposed to do. They didn't check their bias.
So
They
if
didn't
by
check.
saying the study is biased, you're saying that the study didn't account for the variable that obesity may also take a factor into. It's just that there's so many variables in humanity that these pharmaceutical companies could only account for so many during their trials. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're biased. However, you want to talk about bias in studies, actually recently we've been doing the opposite. So for instance, a lot of our studies have been based on BMI. And so we've been showing that, oh, fat people aren't necessarily extremely unhealthy if we look at people with a certain BMI. However, bodybuilders also have a really high BMI, and so they get counted into that category. And so it wasn't until very recently that they equated for that mistake, and it shows, oh my goodness, being fat is actually extremely unhealthy, like way, way more unhealthy than we ever realized.
You can't gauge health by looking at somebody.
Yeah.
Like none of
The
my
point is, when you're obese, you're more open to diseases like blood sugar, breathing problems, heart problems, compared to somebody who's not skinny. I'm not saying compared to somebody who's not fat. I'm not saying skinny people can't get sick or cannot face this kind of diseases. They can, but it's more likely to face somebody who is at an extreme weight. That's what I'm saying.
issues.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're obese,
precipitated.
you're sick. No, you're just open to more diseases. You're more likely to suffer from these diseases. It doesn't mean you're going to, but yeah. The statistics says that you're more
But
likely to.
I always get assumed, oh, don't you want to be skinny so that you don't have a cane anymore and you don't feel the way you feel? And it's like, no, because I have lupus and I'm always going to feel like this.
gonna happen
Like
no
I have
matter what.
CRPS. It's going to deteriorate. It's going to continue.
America has an obesity problem.
Yeah. Like I think yes. I think so. The woman just said the average weight is.
Oh, absolutely, you can't.
It's
I
hard.
think it's pretty clear. You look at the weight of the average American, you see how obesity has affected not just children. I mean, the fact that we have more younger and younger people who are looking heavier and heavier, and you see that, like, you know, the way that weight affects us as a society, and you compare that to how we were in the past. Now, not that we should always, you know, we shouldn't compare ourselves to the era of the Great Depression when people just couldn't find food, of course, but people are heavier now in an unhealthy way, and people are eating unhealthy. They are eating it through unhealthy access to food. They're eating diets high in seed oils. They're eating high corn syrup. They're doing all this kind of stuff that's not good for them that we didn't used to do, and it's bad. It's not a good thing. It's an epidemic. It needs to be.
When I'm not in America, so I cannot really know much about it, but yeah, I think America has a very big, according to statistics anyway, it says that America's.
It needs to be quashed in some capacity.
There's so much access to just anything. Like, it's so crazy these days. And, you know, I'm so surprised that we're actually supporting a lot of this, you know, and there's always people like, you know, like, it's fine that we have like 3 McDonald's like on the same street. And it's just like, we don't think that this is adding to the problem.
What I think is really sad about that is so many people in America just see the profit in it. I don't want to say I know that these people know the problem, but it's like, how can you not see the problem? They have to see it and just not care. They have to just be like, well, we're gaining profit. Do you see how much this McDonald's is making? Put another one across the street. Like, that's just like
It's not
how it
even
is.
just the corporations. It's the
Yeah.
medical industry. Having a fat country makes us money.
It doesn't help that our cities aren't walkable either.
Yeah,
America is a country of non-walkable cities.
That is why I wavered a little bit, because I think we have a problem with how to treat obesity. I think we have a problem with how to make it so that it is not an epidemic. This is a systemic thing, that we are in a society and in an environment that breeds this. And we are doing it to ourselves, we are doing it to our children, and our corporations and our industries are doing it to us, and they aren't having to take responsibility for
And
it.
they're encouraging it with media. So
And the mukbangs, I was literally gonna bring that up. The mukbangs and like all those videos that just come up to trends for people
not
to do
only
it as
the
well.
mukbangs, but also like Lizzo and other big like media.
I don't know.
Lizzo's
I'm
very
sorry. There's a
That's a
very
different-
big
yeah.
difference between the people who are telling people go out and get fat versus a
I love
Lizzo who's
myself
saying
fat.
accept me
Yeah.
the way I am.
She's not just saying accept me the way I am. She's dressing extremely scantily clad and then saying if you don't think that it's normal for a morbidly obese person to be wearing a G-string in the middle of public, then you're the problem. And they're trying to normalize society to this obese culture, which is extremely unhealthy. And
What is an obese?
I think the problem with Lizzo, I think I already spoke about in the beginning of the video, but I think Lizzo is a celebrity who has a very large following, especially young children, young kids, young girls, they follow her. So for her to go out and say, beautiful, the way I am is good, it's like she's promoting this kind of shape to just young people, and just young people are growing up, maybe wanting to be like her, or maybe not caring about their bodies, and because they think, oh, Lizzo's doing well, but remember Lizzo's a celebrity, she has money, she can eat health, she has doctors who maybe control her health, something like that, who tell her what to do. They're like, maybe she goes to the hospital every day to check her blood or to check her health, something like that. So it's very different when it comes to Lizzo. And so the problem comes with the fact that she's a celebrity. She can deal with these problems that other people who are not celebrity cannot deal with. But for her to promote that kind of body, saying it's good for the society, then it's bad because she's like encouraging these young children to grow up like her, who maybe they may grow up to be like her, but then they may end up facing bigger problems because they're not celebrities and they don't have enough money to deal with those problems. So I think that's where my problem with Lizzo comes.
Culture.
a culture which like normalizes
I'm obese
obesity.
and I haven't even heard that.
Well, obesity is already normal, so
It's. Well, I don't think it should be normalized, and it wasn't.
That's the problem. It's normal,
What's
but
the
it shouldn't.
difference between a obese person, myself, walking around in a G-string or a bathing suit, as I do almost every day, and a skinny person? Like, is it okay that the skinny person is doing that?
I don't think so, but
I don't think
that's for other reasons.
Yeah,
probably.
exactly.
I get the whole in public thing.
To say that when Lizzo does it is the same as a Victoria's Secret angel
Why
is just
shouldn't
not
it
the
be,
same.
though?
Yeah, what's the
'Cause
difference?
what do you mean? Are you telling me they look? You're telling me it doesn't.
I'm not saying they look the same.
Well,
but
I
I'm
mean,
saying
Lizzo
what's
goes
the
on
difference?
stage.
what's the implication? So
Yeah.
if
The
I
difference is that she doesn't look
I wanna
well with the G-string. That's the difference. She's afraid to ask about the difference. She doesn't look good with the G-string.
model. I'm a print and runway model. I have walked down a runway in a thong. So me doing that is shameful, but a skinny model is
Like a
okay.
Victoria's Secret
I didn't.
model.
I don't know if I use the phrase shameful,
Problematic.
but I don't think that we as a society should be modeling obesity.
But I'm not modeling obesity. I'm modeling the lingerie that obese people need to be able to have availability to buy.
So they've always had the ability to buy
we have not.
lingerie.
If you go to Torrid,
No,
a single
we
underwear is
not.
like almost $20.
Yeah.
And you go to like any other Walmart, any Target, and like all these underwears are on special for like $5 to like $20 and stuff.
Well, it
and
does
like,
take more fabric to make it.
It does take more fabric
They
to make
use
it,
that
but
as
it's-
an excuse, but
that
you
would-
make yards of fabric
Yeah.
for gowns. You, like,
Is a
it's-
small
it's-
a different price than an extra large or a
It
large?
is.
and
yeah,
we're willing-
for 3XL shirts, I got to pay more money.
I think people view models and Instagram people and all of us who are plus size and proud as we're pushing this obese lifestyle.
Yes.
No, I'm pushing the fact that this is what I live in. This is my life. And I need other people who feel this way to say, hey, I want to be able to wear clothes that look cute too.
Yeah, I think I've done half of the video. I'm going to leave it here, and then I'm going to do the other half next time. If you like the reaction, comment below which video I'll be doing next time. You can comment your opinion about the things I commented on. And yeah, if you like the reaction, leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.